So I had this discussion the other day at work. I work with some old heads, okay? And this, I feel like, is not talked about enough, and people just kind of push past it. But I'm done with old school basketball, and I'm done with old heads because you know what? You guys, no offense, but my dad is one of them. He thinks he knows everything, all right? And every old head, James, that you talk to about basketball, do they presume to know everything and that they're
Well,
correct?
they love to think they're right, and I mean they certainly have an attachment to their era. That's something that I need to, as I grow up, like think about for myself because I know it annoys the crap out of me when I talk to people, old fans of the NBA. I can't just think of this era that I'm in now and be attached to it, or the era that I grew up in, like 2012, 2014 era. I need to be able to zoom out and actually think critically about things and not just say, it was better when I was young, because it certainly isn't always the case, as we are about to talk about now.
Yeah, I mean, you got to evolve with the times here. Just like you evolve in the times of technology and throughout the world, if you're a basketball fan, you got to evolve with the NBA. All right. So the argument, I was at work the other day and we were talking about how the NBA is a little different. And yes, it is different. I will give you that. There are aspects of the game. The game is played differently. There are different rules. There are different, it is a different game. And,
Yeah.
but the argument here is that super teams ruin the NBA. All right, sure.
Okay.
So I said, so when did the super teams start? And they go off and they tell me, when LeBron joined the Heat or when Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors, blah blah blah. If you can't beat them, join them. You know? Sure. Yeah, you saw that, we saw that, but guess what? Just because there was no social media back then doesn't mean there weren't super teams in the NBA. And I think
Hmm.
there have been super teams in the NBA for its entire existence. There was just no social media and it wasn't being pushed like the narrative is these days. James, you want to start us off because, you know, we have a list of teams in the past before social media, before anything on TV, the super team era, as they like to call it, was even thought of. This is not shocking, but this should be enlightening and eye-opening to fans because, the super team era has been around the entire time. You're just not advertised.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start it off. Let's go from literally a 7, 8 year stretch from 1982 to 1989. Kareem Magic Worthy. That is literally the Showtime Lakers. What about that doesn't scream super team? What about that doesn't say, oh my goodness, these are three of the best players, some of the best players in the NBA, all on one team? Super team.
Yeah,
I mean, that's about as clear cut as it gets.
three first ballot Hall of Famers. Those guys are MVP, Finals MVPs, champions. That's just the first example. All right. Why don't we go back even further? Okay. Let's go to 19 no, well yeah, let's go to 1982, 1983. Your Philadelphia 76ers. They lost the championship this year, but don't worry, they won the year before or the year after. Moses Malone, Dr. J, Daryl Dawkins, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones was a sixth man of the year that year. Dr. J, Moses Malone averaged over 20 points per game and our first ballot Hall of Famers and champions. Daryl Dawkins was a walking bucket. Okay. Maurice Cheeks, great NBA player. That is a super team to me. Now let's go even farther back to 1965 and 1966 when the Boston Celtics went on that incredible run with Bill Russell, right? Super
Just
teams
Google.
didn't exist before what, 2014, right? Yeah, no, you're wrong. Bill Russell, Sam Jones, John Havlicek. Those are three Hall of Famers on the same team. That is a super team.
I mean, just that's where common sense has clearly been thrown out the window. Look at the amount of winning that happened for those Boston Celtics.
11
And
championships.
and you don't even think to declare like super team. I mean, Bill Russell wasn't sitting there averaging like 35 a game. He was, a hair over 20, like between 20 and 25 points per game. He wasn't scoring the entire time for the Boston Celtics. Someone else was. It's a super team. Look at how much they won. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep going because this argument is just it blows my mind when I'm talking to NBA fans that are older than me and they're like, you don't know basketball like that. Like you don't know the game that I watched back in the day. Oh yeah, the game that you watched back in the day had the Celtics with Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, and Dennis Johnson winning championship after championship. That is four Hall of Fame guys on one team in one run. I mean, if you look at the San Antonio Spurs, and 88, 89, they had Tim Duncan and David Robinson, two of the greatest big men to ever touch a basketball. And then fast forward, the dynasty of the San Antonio Spurs with, they had Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Later on, got uh, Kawhi Leonard ended up drafting later on. I mean, these super teams have been around. They've been around for a long time.
Did
And
we
yeah,
forget anybody? There's some
even
earlier Lakers teams as well. I don't even know if we mentioned. I mean, like Wilt, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich. I mean,
I
that
mean
70s Lakers. I mean, that they had at least two or three guys averaging over 20 points per game.
Kareem and Oscar Robertson played together so nobody jumped ship and caused a scene and demanded trades. Yeah, that's not true. Shaquille O'Neal forced his way out of Orlando to team up with Kobe Bryant. And then he did it again in 2005, and he went to the Miami Heat and won a championship with Dwayne Wade. Guys, this super team jumping ship, demanding trade has always been around. It's always been a thing. I don't know what Kobe Bryant demanded out of the Lakers and he got traded and it got vetoed. Chris Paul did the same thing. This has been around for a long time. It didn't just start in 2014 when LeBron went to the Heat. That's not where this started. Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson were on the same basketball team. People,
Hey
there's
man,
no argument.
I think a lot of older NBA fans love to blame LeBron for a lot of what's wrong as well. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. LeBron coming out and saying stuff like, "No, I'm not playing back-to-backs. Just no." Or demanding, being the GM. I don't think it's great for the NBA, but you can't just sit here and pretend like he hasn't earned every right to do what he does. I mean, he's
Yeah,
been arguably the greatest, if not the second or third greatest player of all time. I mean, there's only a couple people I feel like a less percentage of the population that would put him outside of the top two all time. So I mean, hey, I'm just saying LeBron didn't ruin super teams by going to the Heat. If anything, it's the Celtics even prior to that. Um, but then, as we mentioned, it doesn't just stop there. You can go to the 60s and figure out that super teams have been around this entire time.
I mean, we're just gonna like John Stockton and Karl Malone play together. I know Karl Malone isn't like he's a bad person and he's not loved by anybody, but dang, he was a good basketball player. And also, like, I'm not gonna brush over this, okay? Literally, the people that everybody calls the GOAT, Michael Jordan, dead ass, won three championships in a row, retired, and won three more. Now, if that doesn't scream super team to me, I don't know what does. He had Scottie Pippen, he had Horace Grant, he had Dennis Rodman, he had him. That's just guys off the top of my head. He had Artis Gilmore, who was an all-star at one point in his career. It's Steve Kerr, one of the best shooters of his era. That is a super team. They won six championships. That doesn't happen just by uh luck or by chance. They don't beat every team for 6 years and a divide 3 years in a row, divide 3 years in a row. You don't just do that. You do that because you're good and your team's better than everybody else. And your
The
team is better
NBA,
because you have better players.
yeah, I mean, the NBA has been around for a long time, and it didn't take until like 60 years into the existence of the NBA for GMs to think, wait a minute. We should try to get as many good players as possible? No. They've been trying to do that since the NBA started, okay? And they've
What?
been succeeding at doing that.
What do you think happened? LeBron just woke up one day in 2014 and was like, I'm starting the super team era. Like, no, like it's been around this entire time. Where do you think he got the idea from, bro? Like the Celtics did it with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. The Thunder drafted a super team and traded it away. Like
Yeah.
it's just the Lakers drafted what could have been a super team and traded them away for Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I mean, come on. This has been around this entire time and nobody talks about it. It's ridiculous. It's a thing. It's been around the entire time. Nobody just covered it back then, and it's being covered and pushed these days. And the so-claimed super team era is over now. Yeah, you're in for one if you think that's true. Have you not seen the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder? Like, are we oblivious to those teams? Because those are super teams, if you ask me. I
I
mean,
mean, I can't wait to see the parallels between what the Spurs have now and what the Thunder had when they had Harden, Russell, and Durant. I mean, we're gonna look at a lot of these Spurs players in 5, 10 years and be like, wow, that wasn't too far off from what the Thunder had in their big three when they first came up.
I actually, it's funny because I kind of think about the show as I'm like laying down, going to bed. I just kind of think of ideas, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, the parallels between that Spurs and the Thunder team back in the day it's kind of crazy. Think about it. They had a star point guard and Russell Westbrook. The Spurs have Stephon Castle, a budding star point guard, and they already have a star point guard on De'Aaron Fox. They had a superstar player and Kevin Durant. The Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, who can stretch the floor. He can shoot over anybody. He can dunk on you. Kevin Durant, the same way. And then
Kevin
they
Durant, it's an
drafted.
evolved Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he's an evolved Kevin Durant. And then the Thunder went out and drafted James Harden. Okay, the Spurs just drafted Dylan Harper, who, by the way, plays just like him. There, it's actually crazy how much this Spurs team is like that Thunder team. And you got to remember, like, oh, that Thunder team had surrounding pieces around it, like Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka. Yeah, the Spurs have Jeremy Sohan and Luke Cornett. This team is really similar. There are a lot of
And I
aspects of
mean,
this team. I mean, they had an older wing, and this Spurs team has Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes, dude, don't get me started. He's like one of the best role players in the entire NBA with how he shoots the rock,
I
man.
know,
So
dude.
like you
Mr.
can't mess
100.
with.
But yeah, it's fun. I'm excited to see it. The rivalry between the Thunder and the Spurs is even better to me. Um, man, man. I mean, the Spurs came out and kind of blew the Thunder out of the NBA every time they played each other, and then they finally lost. The
Finally.
Spurs finally lost to the Thunder 2 days ago, and then Wemby came out and shaved his head. So I think Wemby's a little mad they lost to the Thunder because he knows they're. I mean, I think. And he knows because, Victor Wembanyama has delusional, um, confidence, which you have to. He knows they're better than the Thunder team. If it were a 7 game series, I don't know who I would take right now, but give me a year or two, I'm gonna say the Spurs every single time. I mean,
Yeah.
this team it's every time it's on TV, it's a must watch because the rivalry between Chet and Wemby has been building for years and years. SGA is the former MVP. Wemby is the budding star, supposed to be the greatest of all time coming up. I mean, man, it is exciting, it is fun, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of this Thunder Spurs rivalry, and you can tell in the games too. They get chippy. They're good games to watch. It's really great basketball.
Yeah, and then I mean, hey, like that's not even talking about, other teams in the NBA that certainly can compete with both of them. I mean, the Nuggets have lost half their starting lineup and are still on a 3-game win streak as the second seed in the West above the Spurs. So
Hmm.
it just goes to show how, we st super teams are still around, but it's by no means ruining the NBA. Teams are still competing. There's no sense that, super teams run the league. I mean, they're definitely better because they have the better players, but it's not pushing everyone out of the way.
No.